What kind of sparks would fly when a cold, aloof cardiothoracic surgeon collides with an arrogant yet clingy, wolf-like racing driver? When they meet again, what unexpected turns of fate will unfold? Today was their first anniversary. Yu Yan had pushed aside his race schedule for the day, but Zhou Huiqing received a call and had to rush to the hospital. The little wolf was instantly unhappy. "You promised today would be just for me." Zhou Huiqing merely rubbed his head soothingly and went to take a shower. More than once, Yu Yan screamed inside his heart. "Doesn't he love me anymore?" Irritated, he answered another call and snapped at the person on the other end. Only after learning it was the boss's arrangement did he swallow his anger. Anyway, Zhou Huiqing had already left. Being alone felt meaningless. The race was about to begin. Yu Yan kept waiting for Zhou Huiqing's message, staring at his phone, tapping impatiently. This was his 26th race, after 25 consecutive wins. The boss had poured in a massive amount of money. It should have been a guaranteed victory, yet Yu Yan lost. Mid-race, his phone chimed with a message. Thinking it was Zhou Huiqing, he subconsciously slowed down. In the final seconds, his opponent overtook him. After the race, Yu Yan immediately checked his phone, only to see a points notification. He cursed under his breath. The loss cost the boss several million. Seeing Yu Yan's indifferent expression, the assistant was furious. Yu Yan smiled, grabbed the man's wrist tightly, then threw a heavy punch. Just as he was about to continue his little game, Zhou Huiqing's call came in. Yu Yan didn't hesitate. He went straight out to pick up his boyfriend, sparing the man another beating. Watching Zhou Huiqing yawn non-stop, Yu Yan felt a pang of heartache. "Sleep. I'll wake you when we get there." But Zhou Huiqing held his hand instead. "Did you go racing?" Yu Yan tried to deny it, but the marks on his hands betrayed him. Facing his boyfriend's questioning, he grew irritated. "Didn't you go to the hospital too?" Back home, Zhou Huiqing was so exhausted he fell asleep instantly. Yu Yan traced his features with loving eyes, his heart overflowing with happiness. Suddenly, Zhou Huiqing jolted awake from a nightmare, his world drenched in blood, screaming Yu Yan's name. Yu Yan rushed over from the kitchen. "Another nightmare?" He soothed him, coaxing him to eat something, but Zhou Huiqing suddenly pinned him down, overwhelmingly proactive. Even so, Yu Yan's heart felt hollow. "Zhou Huiqing, do you love me?" No matter how many times he asked, Zhou Huiqing never answered. "To you, am I just someone to satisfy your needs?" "No," Zhou Huiqing replied firmly. "Then why won't you ever say it?" Zhou Huiqing stayed silent. Yu Yan laughed bitterly. Forget it. He already knew the answer. He remembered his childhood, his father lying to his mother again, wearing that disgusting smile while telling others he loved them. Love was a word he couldn't say. Zhou Huiqing worked overtime every day. Yu Yan waited endlessly outside the hospital. Sitting under the streetlights, he felt like one of those bugs. Insignificant, invisible. He hugged him tightly, but his boyfriend said he was too tired. After a moment, Yu Yan rose irritably and went to the bathroom, unaware that Zhou Huiqing had already opened his eyes. Yu Yan didn't know what he was doing anymore. Zhou Huiqing never had time for him. He never said he loved him. Zhou Huiqing said he hated people who didn't cherish life, yet Yu Yan raced cars, always ending up on operating tables. Did that mean he hated him too? "When will I ever enter your heart?" "I'm sorry, I'm late." Zhou Huiqing arrived to find Yu Yan lost in thought. "What am I to you really?" Yu Yan didn't know. He just wanted an answer, a sense of belonging. Why had Zhou Huiqing suddenly suggested breaking up? He didn't understand. He only knew that when Zhou Huiqing left, his eyes never once looked back at him. They loved each other, yet Zhou Huiqing never said it. So in the end, the cold, unloving one broke up with the clingy one 3 years later. The little wolf raised his glass with his racing club teammates. When someone called his name, he glanced up and saw a familiar, cool figure in the crowd. In that single instant, his body burned, blood surging. A gust of wind passed, and the figure vanished. Yu Yan pushed through the crowd and caught that pale wrist precisely. Zhou Huixing turned around and froze when he saw Yu Yan. This time, it was Yu Yan who was stunned. "You know me?" Zhou Huixing flung his hand away. "Did you do this on purpose? Do you really think messing with me is fun?" Yu Yan stepped back, ruffling his hair anxiously. "I just wanted to flirt. How is that messing with you?" Zhou Huixing hadn't expected such a form of revenge. He scoffed coldly and strode away, leaving Yu Yan utterly confused. At the corner, Zhou Huixing laughed bitterly. What an eye-opener today, 3 months earlier. Zhou Huixing's medical paper had been stolen by the vice director. He beat that smug old man to a pulp. Days later, he was publicly dismissed for a so-called medical accident. No one believed it, but a doctor with such a record was no longer welcome in major hospitals. That was when the Zhongyi Medical Association contacted him. Because of a highly successful surgery before, they had wanted him for a long time. After hesitating, Zhou Huixing accepted. Maybe he'd see Yu Yan again. Yet remembering Yu Yan pretending not to recognize him filled him with anger. Why did I even come to this place? While treating a patient's gunshot wound, he unexpectedly learned about Yu Yan. Hearing that Yu Yan had been hospitalized for a long time, Zhou Huixing pressed for details, but the patient only smiled awkwardly. "I'm new here. I don't know much." Leaving the ward, Zhou Huixing could no longer suppress his shock. Yu Yan was the young master of Zhongyi. Yu Yan, meanwhile, kept thinking about Zhou Huixing's strange words. The failed flirt left him frustrated. That slender, pale wrist replayed in his mind. Why does this feel so familiar? As if I've done this before. They loved each other, yet still broke up. 3 years later, even after losing his memory, Yu Yan fell for him at first sight again, only to be mistaken for playing games. Yu Yan asked his friends how to pursue someone he liked. Zhou Huixing, after learning Yu Yan had just been discharged from the hospital, also began asking around about him. But when he finally made a call and introduced himself, the other side hung up immediately. Zhou Huixing collapsed onto the chair helplessly. Had he offended him without realizing it? Back then, Zhou Huixing had thought Yu Yan was his nemesis. Whenever he was on duty, Yu Yan would be rushed in during the middle of the night. He'd thought, with injuries this severe, it's a miracle he's still alive. But the moment Yu Yan woke up, he glared at him. "Didn't I say I wanted a different doctor? Why is it still you?" Zhou Huixing could only explain that he was the only doctor on duty. Over several days of checkups, neither of them backed down. Their days passed in constant friction. He thought once Yu Yan was discharged, they'd never meet again. Yet Yu Yan had said he'd come find him. And he did. Zhou Huixing felt no anticipation at all. "You're really forgetful." Before the words finished, a fist flew toward his chin. Yu Yan was stunned. "I was just joking. You're serious?" And just like that, it ignited something primal. They exchanged blows. With a rip, Zhou Huixing's shirt was torn open. His pale chest, marked with vivid scars, was painfully exposed. Yu Yan's gaze instantly stuck, unable to look away. Zhou Huixing's face darkened. He got into his car and drove off. Bad luck. From then on, Yu Yan secretly watched Zhou Huixing. Seeing him confront the hospital director head-on only deepened his interest. What a tough bone. "Why are you everywhere?" Zhou Huixing snapped, clearly annoyed. Yu Yan grinned. "I'm here for a follow-up." Zhou Huixing turned to leave, but Yu Yan blocked him. Straight to the point. "Want to hook up?" Zhou Huixing sized him up and rejected him. "My mom says I shouldn't play with idiots." Yu Yan grabbed his wrist, clearly not understanding the subtext. "Then try me." Seeing the doctor's look, as if he were staring at an idiot, Yu Yan finally reacted. "You're calling me stupid?" Looking at their old photos together, Yu Yan laughed. Always so foolishly cute. Another call came in. The medical association needed him for surgery. He hung up quickly and rushed over. Then a message popped up. "Want a drink?" Yu Yan. He loved him, yet had been dumped by him. 3 years later, he still went looking for him. Though Yu Yan remembered nothing, the only good news was, he still fell for him at first sight. Just one message, and Zhou Huiqing dragged his exhausted body, fresh from surgery, to the bar. He could have gone home to rest, but he pushed himself just to see him. They talked about how Yu Yan got his number. Yu Yan had a lot to say. He'd begged his brother to investigate before getting it. Yu Yan stared at Zhou Huiqing. You feel really familiar. He leaned closer. How do you know my name? Zhou Huiqing shoved him away. You're too close. Yu Yan looked wronged, but said nothing. Zhou Huiqing claimed he'd heard it from friends. Yu Yan believed him easily. Then he asked about the earlier teasing. Zhou Huiqing took a sip of his drink. I mistook you for someone else. Lowering his gaze to the glass, he sat quietly. He hummed softly. 3 years. Finally hearing his name again. Got a lighter? Yu Yan asked. No, why? Then how did you light my heart? Yu Yan looked seriously, even. Zhou Huiqing stared at him, utterly confused, then burst out laughing. That's so cheesy. He had no idea how beautiful his smile was. Yu Yan's soul had already flown far away. He leaned in instinctively, and Zhou Huiqing didn't dodge. The signal was obvious. Yu Yan stood up and pulled him out in long strides. Bang! The restroom door slammed shut. The moment Yu Yan's hand rested on that familiar waist, his pupils trembled violently. Have we? Zhou Huiqing stared at him in shock. Did he remember?